Hello guys and welcome to my channel. So hello and welcome. This is my first ever bookish booktube video. I do actually have other videos, but they're on a different channel and it's all about my dogs, Oscar and Elka, because my two kind of greatest passions in life are books and my dogs. So yeah, I already have kind of a video or a channel kind of featuring all about them. I'll leave that below if you want to check it out. But this is solely dedicated to my love of books. And today I thought I would do for my first ever video my June TBR for 2023. Okay, so for my first TBR in this challenge, I think I was a little optimistic. I think that's what I'm going for. It could be because I like to get myself a challenge, or it could be because it's my first video and I kind of want to start this whole booktube thing with a bang. So I have physical TBR, I have audible TBR, and I also have Kindle as well. Sorry, you're gonna probably hear traffic. I'm in my conservatory at the moment and it's just so beautiful that I wanted to film it here. But you may hear kind of traffic here and there. So I do tend to always have a physical book and an audible book on the go at the same time. I like to listen to Audible, or it doesn't even have to be Audible, it can be BorrowBox as well, which is actually our library subscription in Ireland. So I know in America, I think it's Libby, and I'm sure the UK have a version as well, but in Ireland it's BorrowBox, and on BorrowBox you can download ebooks or audiobooks. So I usually have an audiobook and a regular physical book or ebook or something on the go at the same time. So I also sometimes like to listen to audiobook versions of books I'm reading if I can get the audiobook as well, because sometimes if I'm into a book and then I have to go walk the dog, or I have dogs, or I have to, go somewhere in the car, I like to put it on the audio version and continue the book. And sometimes it actually is nice to, listen while you're reading. I know that can be a bit confusing sometimes, but actually it's kind of nice. It's like someone's reading it to you, which I guess they are, but you know what I mean. Also, for books that are sometimes harder to get into, I found the audiobook really good. Like, for example, Barack Obama's book, Promised Land. I love him. I know that might be controversial, but that's not what this channel is about. So, but I could listen to him talk forever. I love his accent. And I did get his book for Christmas a couple of years ago from my brother when it came out. The first one, I think the second one might be out by now, but the first one, and I read like the first few chapters, but it was hard sometimes because it was full of obviously political jargon or speak or terms and things like that. So sometimes I found it harder to get through. And I found the audiobook version in my library on BorrowBox. And I listened to that, and then he actually narrates that himself, which of course made it better for me because I love his accent. So I was listening to that and then sometimes reading the book at the same time, but it was easier because when I was listening to him speak, it was like he was just talking about his life, and I found that a lot easier to listen to. So yeah, look, it just depends on the book, it depends on the situation, and as you can see, I like to talk with my hands sometimes, so hopefully that won't be annoying for you guys, but we'll see. So in the month of June, I'm also doing a Suns Out, Books Out readathon, and that's with Libby's library. I'll leave the links below, or, to her channel and things like that. But it will be my first readathon that I'll be taking part of. The first readathon I'll be taking part in. There we go. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So my TBR obviously kind of reflects that a little bit, and then the rest, that's only for 3 days, and there's only 3 poems, so 3 books. And yeah, so, which now thinking about that, that's heavy going in 3 days. Anyway, we'll just do what we can do. So let's start with my physical TBR for June. So the first book I have here is We Were Liars. So We Were Liars is a book that I've heard about for a long time. It's a very popular book. It's a YA book, I believe, and I actually don't know that much about it. I've heard a lot of people rave about it. I think it takes place on an island or a cabin. I think it's kind of like a rich family that, you know, meet up, and obviously there's some lies and things going on. I am terrible at this. Hopefully it'll get better as time goes on. But actually I've seen it on a lot of channels, and I thought, you know what? I really want to check that out. That sounds like might be up my alley, so we'll see. Yeah, it's the winner of the YA Goodreads Choice Awards, so I'm gonna check this out. Obviously that was a terrible description, but you know what? Sometimes with books I actually don't like to know too much about it, because if I do, then it kind of puts me off reading a little bit, because I already know what's going to happen, you know, especially in books like this, you know, with mysteries or thrillers or something like that. Kind of what's the point? Like I want to know to the point of trigger warnings, because obviously I think we all have certain trigger warnings that we like to stay away from. So yeah, I do know I like to know trigger warnings in them, but I don't like to know the plots or the stories, because then, you know, what's the point of reading the book, you know? So anyway, that's my first one for the month of June. Okay, so when you see the second one, you're going to think that I'm like a mystery thriller girly, when I'm so not. It's just something I'm trying to get into. I feel like I'm one of those people that if I was to really get into it, I would actually love it, but I'm too fearful. Like I like the adrenaline, but then I'm scared it might bring up anxiety and stuff in me, so I kind of tend to stay away from it. But I am dipping my toe into it. I do like mysteries because I like figuring things out. I do like thrillers. I can't cope with gore or like torture or things like that. I can't cope with that. But I think, you know, frightening things, I might be okay with that. But anyway, as I say this is like a middle grade, I think. Really check this out beforehand, but I'm pretty sure this is middle grade. So it's not even like it's super scary or anything, but it is Murder Most Unladylike. Again, I'm not so sure. I'm sure that what the plot is. I know it's a series. I know that all the books in the series are pretty colors, and I know that it's about a school, and it says here they set up a secret detective agency, and they discover the body of Miss Bell. So I'm really interested to check this out. Usually in summertime I only stick to summer reads, beach reads, romances, all that kind of stuff. And this year I thought, no, I'm going to branch out a little bit. I am doing Summerween in July as well, but we'll see how it goes. So these are actually my two non-beachy reads, even though I know this is kind of set on an island or something, so it's sort of a beachy read, but you know, the typical beach easy reads. And these are my two different ones, we'll say, for this month, and I'm excited about it. I think I'll leave my Suns Out books out picks until the very end, so we'll go through all the rest first. So the next one I got, again, I'm not sure, you know, I really should read the back of these beforehand. Maybe that's my new plan, I don't know. But this is Wednesday Walks and Wags. I've never heard of it before, but my mom actually got me this for my birthday, because obviously it's a book based on dogs, or certain around dogs, so it's my two favorite things in life. So this is USA Today, a best-selling author, Melissa Storm, and I don't think I even actually said the authors for the other books. You know, I'm not okay, it's my first video, so we're just gonna have to bear with me, and it's a bit of a learning curve. So this is by E. Lockhart, and this one is by Robin Stevens, so we're gonna try and remember this going forward. So this is a book based about a woman called Bridget Moore. She's moved to a new area, and she's a vet tech, and she actually just lost her mother recently, so she's dealing and coping with the loss of that. So I assume that would be a trigger warning in there, you know, loss and grief. And there's this guy who's her neighbor, and his name is Wesley, and he runs past her house with two dogs every day, and she kind of strikes up a friendship with him, I guess. So I guess it's kind of a rom-com style book, and it's, you know, about, you can hear my dogs playing in the background. Hopefully that won't distract you too much, but Yeah, so I think it's kind of one of those meet cute kind of rom-com style books, but also deals with loss as well. So that is Wednesday Walks and Wags with Melissa Storm. So the next book is actually from my local library. I like to use my library whenever possible to get my books. Not only for the cost, you know, when you have so many books and you're reading all the time, but also for the environment and everything else, and you know, not having so much in my house. And saying that, I have books all over my house, but I do like to get them from my library as well. So this one is A Year of New Adventures by Maddie, please. So this book is all about a girl named Billy Summers, kind of fitting, you know, with being summertime and all that. And apparently she lives in the Cotswolds, which is something that drew me to this book because I love the Cotswolds, so it was a very attractive point of this book. And also she works part-time in her uncle's bookshop. So you got bookshops, you got the Cotswolds, you got the countryside. I'm already in. Apparently she lives this quiet life and hasn't really, you know, ventured out much. I'm sorry, it's like prime farming season right now. With the weather, it's just tractors passing all day long. But yeah, so she realizes that she lives this quite boring life when this guy turns up and points out that she hasn't really done anything fun or, you know, had any adventures. So she creates a bucket list and adds all these different things. But as she's going through the bucket list, I think she falls in love with this guy, and it becomes one of those kind of romantic comedy books. So this is number 3 to add onto the list. The next book is one that's not really a fiction book. It's not really a story. It's just something that'll help us. My boyfriend and I are trying to buy a house, or planning to. And if you are from Ireland or is familiar with Ireland, then you will know how difficult it is to buy a house in Ireland. So I thought we could use all the help we could get. So I picked up How to Buy a Home in Ireland, The Guide to Navigating the Irish Property Market by Carole and Mulqueen. So this is a book that is derived from social media. So they set up a social media account, I think it was Instagram, and yeah, it was called Crazy House Prices. And basically it got so big and they learned so much from everybody trying to buy a house in Ireland that they decided to kind of condense it all into one book to help those that were starting out. So this is kind of, you know, it's not too thick or anything, and I mean the rating's quite big as well, so it shouldn't take me long to get through it, but it is just something that will hopefully help us when it comes to buying our own house in the future. So the last book on my physical TBR, apart from the Suns Out Books Out Readathon, is another library book, and it is Carole Mathews. I actually really like Carole Mathews' writing and I really enjoy her books, especially at Christmas time. I have quite a few of her Christmas books, because at Christmas time, I know I'm such a nerd, but at Christmas time I like to have like books around, or a bookshelf of just Christmas books. So I've been collecting them. So now I have a pretty solid collection of Christmas books, but I really enjoy Carole Mathews ones. So this is Happiness for Beginners, and it's quite a big book. It's quite thick, but yeah, again, it's, you know, another light spring summary book that I wanted to add on to my collection. So this is a book about Molly. She runs a 25-acre hope farm, and she uses it as a school as well for kids that don't do well kind of in mainstream schools. And there's one child, Lucas, who arrives, and I think he causes more trouble, or he's more hassle than she realized, but she finds out that she has a crush on his dad, and I think it kind of goes from there. But again, this is in the English countryside, which I love. Any English Irish countryside, I love that, because my boyfriend's actually English, so we actually spend a lot of time in England. We go over a couple of times a year, and where he's from isn't too far away from the Cotswolds. So I just love all that kind of area, the countryside, and that type of countryside is actually very like the Irish countryside. So anything like that draws me in. But yeah, so this is, and farming as well. So this is farming in the countryside. I'm obsessed with Clarkson's farm as well. And as you can hear by the tractors, we kind of live in an area, but I'm not a farmer, and my family aren't farmers. And I do have a couple of friends that were farmers growing up, but I've never lived on a farm or anything like that. But I love the countryness of it. And yeah, so books like that really draw me in. So this is perfect. This is in the countryside. It's about a farm. It's about kids, helping kids and stuff. And it's a rom-com by the looks of it as well. So I'm excited to check that out. Okay, so for my next books, I'm going to talk about the Sun's Out, Books Out readathon with Liv's Library. I actually have it here on my little Fire tablet, and I just have the prompts here. So like I said, it's on for 3 days, so it's on from the 23rd to the 25th of June. And thinking about that, I don't think I'm going to get 3 books in 3 days. That's just not where I think this is going to happen, or where I think this is going to go. So I'm kind of thinking now, should I combine books, combine prompts, I mean. We'll see. Look, I'm just going to say the TBR for now, and we'll see. I'll let you know if there's any updates. You can check out my social media for that, or I'm also going to vlog as well. So maybe I'll have made some decisions about that. So for the first prompt was read a book with water on the cover. So, of course, I chose Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I must be the only person in the world who hasn't read this book at this point. I know that it's super popular. In fact, I haven't read anything by Emily Henry. So yeah, okay, you can all shout at me in the comments, but yeah, I haven't read anything by Emily Henry. This is kind of my entrance into her world, I guess, introduction, we'll say. So yeah, so this is a story about Nora and Charlie, her nemesis. So I think they're like work nemesis or something like that. Nora is supposed to be at the top of her game, but she's stressed out, and it says here that she's used to breakups, and now that she realizes she's a girl that people date before they find the love of their life. And it's funny because I used to joke about that before I met Joe. I used to say, oh, I'm the girl they meet before they meet the one, I'm the one that they get with, and then they end up finding the love of their life, settling down, marrying and having kids and all that. So it's just funny because it kind of resonates with me a little bit, although me and Joe are together now 6.5 years or so that's a long time ago, but still. But yeah, and it says here that like her sister persuades her to go, she needs a break, she needs to go on holiday for a month. I'm not sure if it's a working holiday, but I think, just kind of a breakaway nonetheless. But apparently her like arch nemesis, like Charlie, feels the same way or something, and she keeps bumping into him. And obviously I think this is a hate to lovers kind of romance style book. Emily Henry's supposed to be really good, obviously. I mean, anyone who's anyone in the book world has heard of her, so I can't wait to actually check it out and see what my opinion is on it. The next one goes with the prompt read a beach read. So this is the one that I had that I wanted to read, which is Summer at the Kindness Cafe. I used to live by the beach. I used to work in a bar restaurant at the beach, and did cafe stuff, and I used to work in a cafe. And again, anything with cafes, beaches, it's so nostalgic for me that it just brings me right back. So I had to check this book out. This book is by Victoria Walters, almost forgot again. So this book follows the perspectives of 3 different women. We have Abby, Louise and Esther. Abby and Louise are sisters, and they both have different things going on in their life, and Esther has travelled from Hungary. They decide that they're going to be inspired by to do random acts of kindness by this message board in the cafe, in Brew Cafe, and this kind of like impacts their life, and yeah, they decide to make a pact to be kinder to others and to themselves. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know exactly the plot line, which I'm happy about. I do like books with different perspectives sometimes. Sometimes I found it a bit tedious, because you're going back and forth and things like that. So I'm currently reading one with different perspectives and I'm actually really enjoying it. I'll get to that in a second, but I'm actually really enjoying that. It's just sometimes I like to have one kind of continuous story as well. But yeah, I am excited to check out the Kindness Cafe. So my final book is read a book that gives you nostalgic summer vibes. Now, this is one that I probably could, you know, put into this one. And unfortunately, even though I can see like a beachy vibe or whatever, I can't actually see. And now that I'm looking at it closely, I'm like, even, is that a beach or are they like cobbles? I'm not sure. But this could be nostalgic for that, like I just said. But I decided to actually choose a different book because I didn't realize it was 3 days, even though I knew the dates. And the nostalgic book for me is actually Italy, because I spent 2 summers in Italy, so that is so nostalgic for me. And if I can find a book kind of around from the areas where I visited, or stayed for those months, then even better. So I spent time in Rome, I spent time in Umbria, I spent time in the Amalfi Coast and Sorrento. So anything with that, or Positano, Capri, that kind of thing, I am all about that. In fact, I read a really good book last year called The Villa, or The Summer Villa, I think. I'll find it and leave it here. And I definitely recommend that. It was a really good book, you know, set in Italy, but it is like different perspectives, but I really enjoyed it. So it was the perspectives of 3 different women who go to a villa in Italy for a few weeks in the summer, and kind of what happens and then what happens when they come home and stuff. So really good, highly recommend that. But I need another Italian adventure, so I went on to Kindle because I don't have a Kindle. I have a Fire 7 tablet and I will stay with this. Like, I will replace this when this needs replacing rather than getting it to Kindle, because with this I can go on social media, I can go on Netflix, I can use it for everything, and I can read as well. And because of the size of it, it's about the same size as the book. So for me, that's, you know, that's ideal. Because I don't, maybe I would change my mind if I actually did have a bigger one, but I chose a smaller one on purpose because I don't like reading off the big tablets. So my book that I chose is A Rosie Life in Italy. And when I read the description of this book, okay, so you can see there, that's that. So it's like the perfect book size. Okay, so it's about a girl named Rosie, and when her landlord doubles her rent, she decides to pack up her family and her 2 dogs and into a camper van and move to Italy. And she decides that she's going to buy a house or a villa in Umbria, which is where I stayed. So as soon as I heard all that, I was like, oh, she's Irish, she's got 2 dogs, she's packed up her family, they want to buy a villa in Umbria. I was like, oh, nostalgia all over the place. So that was perfect for a nostalgic summer read for me, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. I just love the description of it, and it is on Kindle Unlimited as well, which is completely free. Well, it's not completely free, I should say. It's a subscription every month, and I got a deal where it's 99 pence, because it's the UK even still, but 99 pence for 2 months. So really excited about that. And I only looked on Kindle Unlimited when I saw the prompt, and I was like, okay, I want an Italian read. Then I went on Kindle Unlimited, checked out Italian books, and I found this one, or, books based in Italy. So yeah, they are my books. That's my physical TBR, and it's also my Sun's Out, Books Out, readathon of books. Okay, so at the moment I have a few on borrow box as well. I have 2 that I have both on e-reader or ebook and on audiobook. So hopefully I get to those. And then I also have others as well. So the first book I have, which I have on audiobook and on ebook, is The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Reilly. So this is actually a book that I wanted to pick up for a long time, and there's actually, I think, 6 or 7 books to this collection, and each book is about a different sister. So I suppose it'd be 7 books. Sorry, 7 or 8 books. I'm not sure because I don't know if this book is about a sister or if this book is the beginning and then there's 7 books, 1 book about each sister. So it's either 7 or 8 books, but it's the 7 sisters. And yeah, so I got that on both. I was able to pick this up from my library in both the ebook and the audible version as well, because it is a big book. I've seen it, and I think, you know, I'm going to start reading it maybe in the evenings or whatever, but at the same time I'm probably going to want to read it in the car as well, or continue to listen to it in the car as well. So that's the first one. The next one is one I've wanted to pick up for a while, and it's now even a Netflix series, which is The School for Good and Evil. I wanted to pick this up for a while, and I'm really interested in it. So I think it's a story where one is a school for princesses and heroes, and the other school is for the villains and how to become a good villain, and everything kind of dark and mysterious. So there's these 2 girls, and growing up, one of them has always, you know, dreamed to be the princess, and the other one has dreamed to be a villain. And it turns out that they are enrolled in the opposite school, and they kind of have to navigate that. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. Sorry, I thought I just kind of downloaded there or whatever with it, but I'm really looking forward to that. I couldn't get an audiobook version, but I might buy it, depending on how I get on with it. The next one I picked up was kind of on a whim, but it sounded really cool, and it's a middle grade called 13th Hour by Quinn, a Sosna Sphere. And I'm actually really intrigued by this because apparently it includes time travel. So she has this object, which is like a pocket watch from the look of it, and she has the ability to dip in and out of time with it. It kind of reminds me of that show. There was a show years ago, a kids show, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'll, you know, write it up if I can find it. And basically it was about a pocket watch that stopped time. And I think you could go back in time or change time as well, but you could stop time, I believe. Oh, I vaguely remember it. But yeah, anyway, that's what it reminded me of. So I'm excited about that as well. And, you know, I realized as well that I didn't really pick up any middle grades to read this month. And then finally, I have here on the ebook list is the Atlas 6, which again, I picked this up from Barbox. And I also got the audio version as well, so that I can, you know, switch between the two. I like to listen to books as well if I'm cleaning or walking the dog and dogs. I say dog, and then because I can only really walk one of my dogs at the moment because my other dog unfortunately has a heart condition, and with the heat, and he's undergoing more testing to see, you know, how to get him on better medication that suits him and stuff like that. So at the moment I can't really walk him. So even though I say dog, I do have 2 of them. Or when I'm driving the car, or just kind of like tasks where I don't really have to think but I'm moving, I kind of like to listen to books. But yeah, this one I don't know too much about at all, even though I know it's super popular. I know that it was written and self-published, and then it was like super popular, so it was actually picked up by publishers, and then it was published in a mainstream publishing house. So yeah, this is the Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake, and and it just says 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away, and I think that's super interesting. So that is that. And one more that I have on audiobook from the library and I'm getting on Kindle Unlimited is Amari and the Night Brothers. So let's see if I can click onto this. Yeah. So it's Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and this is another one that I've been wanting to read for a while. I know that it's got huge hype, people really love it, so it's one that I definitely wanted to check out, and the fact that I could get it on in my library is pretty cool. I don't know much about it. I just know that it's really popular and it sounds like something I'd be into, and it looks kind of magical and fantastical, which I love worlds like that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. On Audible, I just want to add 2 more onto it. One is Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins can be quite divisive in opinions, and I understand that, but I'm a person who actually loves Tony Robbins, and I find him very motivational. I find him very intriguing and thought-provoking. And one of my goals this month was to read a business book a month. To be honest, I kind of do this anyway, so it's not really a goal that'll be too difficult for me, but it kind of ties in with other goals, which is why it's written there. But I like to do one business book, or something business minded, financially minded, or something like that, at least once a month. So that's my pick. Tony Robbins is my pick for June. And the other one is Pack of Two. I also like to read dog-related books, and Pack of Two was recommended to me. I think it's a story, but I think it's also about, kind of makes you think about your dog and their life and training and communication, but also it's like a story as well. I think it's kind of a mix of the two. So I am interested in that too. I can't remember the author, but I will write it down here. And yeah, so as you can see, I have like a lot of books on my TBR this month. Do I think I'm going to get to all of them? No, of course I don't. But I do think I will get to many of them, especially with the readathon, and especially with having both the Audible version as well as the book version. And I do recommend that as a way of, I don't want to say getting through your books faster, because books are there to be enjoyed. You should relax, you should enjoy them, you should enjoy the experience and being a part of that world. But when, like, even my mom said to me yesterday, how do you have time to read so many books? Because I work, I have dogs, and my family, and then I also work online with Lover Dogs and things like that as well. We are launching our podcast in June, which will be We Chat Dogs. I'll tell you all about that, maybe in a vlog or something like that. And the website will be launching as well, which will be just all about everything dog related. But she was like, how do you get time? And I'm like, you just, you multitask and you just fit things in. Like, for example, I took my car to the garage this morning because it needed, checks and things like that. And I had to wait for an hour. Now, normally I would go walk around maybe, or there's no coffee shops nearby. So I had a choice of either go walking in the, I don't want to say hardware store, but it'd be like B&Q or Home Base or something like that. But it's kind of a retail park, so there was no coffee shops, there was nowhere to go like that. Normally I would just chill, probably go on my phone, maybe watch YouTube, maybe watch social media, different things like that. But I said, no, I'm going to read my book. So I actually did. I ended up reading my book for an hour. Oh no, my bookmark, which isn't, it's sentimental, but it's not, what you call it? Oh, I don't know, I'm just going to stick it in there. Well, the book I'm reading at the moment is The No Show by Bethany O'Leary, and this is my second book that I've read from her, and I really liked the first one, which was The Flat Chair. I really did enjoy that book. I thought it was such an interesting concept, actually, and I did enjoy it. But this one I possibly think is even better, and I'm only like a third of the way through the book, and it is different perspectives, which in the beginning I was like, oh, because I didn't know if I could handle another book with so many perspectives and keeping, track and listening, or reading all about how everybody's feeling and thinking all the time. But actually it's really, really interesting. At the moment, I'm not quite sure what's going on in it, but I like that. And like from the first few chapters, it's like kind of a mystery of what's going on, because all these ladies have been stood up by this guy, and I was like, did something happen to him? Is he even real? Like, what's going on? Like, there were so many stories. Now, I know it's not fantasy, I know it's not dystopian, I know it's not magical realism or anything like that, but like, I was like, maybe he was in an accident, maybe he passed away, maybe we're going to learn how all these women grieve and how they're connected to him. Like, but that's not what happened. Not that I want to give you any spoilers or something, that's just where my head went. But I mean, like, most people who read it. But most people who read it, probably their heads won't go in that place, but for me it did. Anyway, now I'm like 30 way through the book, and I'm still not quite sure how I feel about any of the characters. you know, or the main character in particular. Like, I'm trying to work out, is he a bad guy, or what like his issue is, or what he's really doing, and there's like so many things going on. Really, really like this book. But my point was, you know, there are so many ways to listen to books, like when you're driving and whatever. And I'm also currently listening to a book, Summer Kisses at Mermaid Point by, again, I'm going to have to leave it down there. And I'm actually really enjoying that. Again, it's like a typical rom-com book. And it's all about mermaids, which I kind of like. So that's what I'm doing right now. That wasn't even supposed to be part of the video. That's just what I'm currently reading. But I'm just saying, if you want to read, you can read. You'll figure it out, you know. Instead of watching 3 episodes of something on Netflix, you can watch 2 episodes and read for half an hour. You'll always find a way. Or, you know, maybe you're going to go to bed at whatever time. Well, go to bed 10 minutes later, read 1 chapter. You know, put that in your thing. You want to read a chapter every day. I might do a whole video on this, to be honest. But I just believe if you want to do it, you'll find the time. You know, there's always time. So that is my TBR. Like I said, you know, it's excessive, it's a challenge, and I didn't realize I have to read 3 books in 3 days, but we are going to try, and we're going to do it. I'm going to have reading vlogs, I'm going to have my goals videos coming up. I have so much planned for you guys, and I'm just really excited to be part of this world. I've watched BookTube for like a year now. In fact, that's how I got back into reading, and I just didn't think I had the time to be on BookTube. And I want to put all my sole focus into, you know, my dogs and the dog project I have going on online and all that. And now I'm working as well. I work in a restaurant in the evening times, and I really enjoy it, really, really enjoy it. And, you know, it's just like, why don't I have the time? You know, I could just work it out. Like, it's something I really enjoy, and I'm so glad I did it. Like, I'm actually really so happy to be part of this world. So if you're a booktuber, please leave me a comment, let me know, and I would love to check out your videos and, you know, what you've been up to. If you're not a booktuber but you're interested in books, let me know what you're reading this month. Let me know if you've read any of my books that I've chosen and what you thought of them, but please, no spoilers, please. But yeah, let me know what you thought of them. You know, were they worth reading, or how many stars did you give, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just really excited to be a part of this. So thank you so much for watching my first ever bookish video, and I will be back to you very soon. At the moment, my plan is to start releasing videos every Monday. We'll see how that goes. I hate making promises and stuff like that, but that's kind of my idea right now, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I'm really excited to be on this bookish journey. I will talk to you guys very soon.